One of the first things I wanted to ask you about is it sounds like you kind of became a journalist on accident, which is something that I've found is pretty common when I talk to some people. They start one path and then they end up falling into journalism because they just uncover something on their own. You used to be a science administrator in Indianapolis, right? Did I do my creepy homework well enough?
Yeah. Before that, I taught science in Eastern Central Indiana. Before that, when I was finishing up college, I was one of Governor Scott Walker in Wisconsin's junior education policy advisors. I've always loved writing and political stuff, but usually op-eds, not actual hard-hitting journalism. But yeah, after stumbling upon a lot of the junk at Indianapolis public schools and being asked to lie about it, I did end up reporting on that story, and the rest is history.
You found out about different things that parents would probably be concerned about, like some forced gender ideology curriculum and critical race theory and things like that. When you found out about that stuff and brought it to people's attention, did you get the kind of support you wanted?
I actually got a lot more support than I expected. I expected to get a lot of negative comments and a few threats. I did end up getting a few threats, but nowhere near the amount that I thought I would get. I got a lot of support from parents. Shockingly, I actually got a lot of support from teachers within the district, kind of on a quiet, down low level, as well as some administrators, which I was very surprised about. I actually have 7 administrators that still continually keep me in the loop on what's going on in IPS, as well as some of the surrounding districts.
So beyond Indianapolis, looking at the world, about, oh gosh, has it been a week yet? They announced that Nita Jankowicz is going to oversee all the disinformation and misinformation plaguing our lives. And you decide to make this golden Twitter account. I mean, it really, it checks all the boxes. Tell me about what inspired you to make it.
A seal, funnily enough. I mess around on Photoshop. It's a skill that I picked up while sitting in my freshman biology class in college, and just enjoy vexillology, which is the study of flags. And I really enjoy different agency seals and that kind of stuff. So I wondered the other day, actually on Friday morning, what would a US disinformation, government board seal look like if it was its own department? Sketched it up on Photoshop, tweeted the seal out, and it did okay. Got a couple of likes. I, sent it to a few friends of mine who thought that was funny. And that afternoon, I'm really exhausted. I had a long day working on chalkboard review and choice media stuff. And I thought, I haven't actually seen a Ministry of Truth Twitter account yet. I looked and I didn't really see anything. I saw like a generic Ministry of Truth account from ages ago that wasn't doing anything. And so I threw the seal up as the profile picture and found some picture of the DHS and to make the banner, and just launched it. Kind of put a snarky tweet there in the beginning and retweeted it from my personal account, and then it just exploded.
It really has exploded. You have what, over 200,000 people now bowing down to you. Is that correct?
I 230 something, maybe 240 by now. Last I checked, it's reached the point where I'm not keeping track of it anymore. But not all are in support of the account. There still are a very weird number of people that think that it's actually the real US Disinformation Board account.
Let them think.
Someone reported one of my tweets to the FBI this morning, which was fantastic.
Oh, what happened?
I tweeted to a follower who was joking around with me. I tweeted back, "Don't start your car, haha," and that person added the FBI. So great times. People can't recognize a parody account.
It is kind of indistinguishable right now. Is this satire or is this genuine? I think that's why so many people have gravitated toward you and the Babylon Bee and all these other sources, because you can feel relief in times when things are so crazy that you almost want to wake up and think, oh my gosh, this can't be real. Were you a big 1984 fan growing up?
Yeah, so I always have enjoyed 1984, read it several times. I'm also a fan of several dystopian style YouTube channels, content producers. I've always been a fan of dystopian genres in general, but this has been a really fun way to kind of express that and create some fun content for people.
So the Ministry of Truth, kind of acts as this gatekeeper for what kind of propaganda we can accept and what we can't. Do you think that that's what Nina Jankowicz is doing?
I mean, she's already done so in her prior work. She's, come out stating that Republicans are always full of disinformation. She's claimed that things that have been objectively proven by third-party sources are false, and she claims that those that aren't real. She established early on in her political career that truth is very subjective, and she's carried that over into a lot of her work in the Department of Homeland Security so far. So this is not a surprise. In fact, it's a little awkward when the parody, hits something so on the nose.
I remember when, gosh, was it last week when the whole Elon Musk Twitter fiasco happened and everyone's heads went spinning? Someone was interviewing me actually, and they asked me what I thought, and the news was fresh. It was like an hour old. And I said,
right,
watch politicians come out and start saying that they're going to introduce bills to fight misinformation and disinformation. Watch that be the next push. I was expecting senators, congressmen to do that. I was not expecting full-blown 1984, and they did not skip a beat. Have there been any moments recently where you get the news and you go, oh my God, I read a book about this in high school?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the tracking individuals in the United States where they went during COVID, the CDC tracking individuals was one such moment. I've just been shocked by basically the political suicide of announcing that. It's so out of fiction and so different than what is expected in how a government would publicly express itself. You would expect them maybe to do this in private or in secret, but to announce some disinformation board as a way to try to comfort your voters because Twitter is being purchased that's college staffer level bad.
Yeah. What do you think they are so afraid of? Is it, concerning information coming out about the Biden administration? I know Jankowicz has already tried to sweep the laptop concerns underneath the rug. What is the big gotcha that they're trying to distract everyone from, in your opinion?
So I think it's a culmination of things that all boil down to communications. The Biden administration has struggled since its inception with its image, with how it's viewed by the American populace. It barely scraped through the election. It barely had maintained any kind of recovery. It had none of the introductory year success that most other presidencies in our country's history have had. It's been plagued with problems internally and externally. And so I believe that if Twitter is able to really be the public square that it is in an open fashion, then it's going to drive down every single dark secret, or it's going to bring up every single dark secret, and it's going to drive down the rest of Biden's image. And heading into the midterms, for them, that's just unconscionable.
See, I think that Twitter and all these social media platforms are so hyper controlled, and there's so much federal involvement with them that there are certain things that if you tweet out, you'll get deleted and no one will ever hear from you again. So I would like to see a world where we could just come out and say things, but I do think that there's a leash on us always. Even on Rumble, there's got to be one to an extent. I picked to mostly put my stuff on Rumble because I feel like it won't. But anyway, you can weigh in on that. While I'm going to pull up some of the questions that people had for you that I asked on Twitter, what they would like to ask our honorable Ministry of Truth. Some people had some good questions, some of them kind of silly, some of them credible. What was the one that I was laughing at? Oh, what's at Area 51? Let us know.
Oh, Area 51, we just keep all of the old recalled Toyotas. Every couple of years, they, release a Toyota that can't really go more than a few feet in one direction. Brakes don't work, engines got issues. We just keep kind of a large used car lot there. Some of them are funny shapes. Meth individuals wander out and stumble on them. But, mostly it's really just an old used Toyota car dealership.
Oh, really? So that's where Camrys go to live out their glory days?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they live forever, and you can't just throw them away, and you can't melt them down. So mostly we keep them there. They're slightly radioactive anyway.
A lot of people took issue that I misgendered you when I said, what would you like to ask him? Do I owe you an apology for assuming you're
Absolutely. I mean, I really don't appreciate any pronouns. I'm part of the new pronoun individuals. I don't prefer to be called him, her, she, his, any of those. Again, your lordship is perfectly acceptable. Although we did have to file a ministry report, so I would watch where you step.
Did you hear about someone stabbing someone with a pronoun pen? Whew. I mean,
What? When was
yeah.
this?
Man, I should do a separate video on this, but somebody at their work had a pronoun pen, someone laughed at it and they stabbed someone with it, which, you know, if you're preaching tolerance, if irony could kill, if that stab doesn't kill you, I mean, sometimes you can't make this stuff up.
It's insane. I don't know whether to laugh or wonder when one of those events is going to happen to someone who's carrying, and that's going to be a totally different story.
I think you're right. Sorry, I'm just this stuff is so crazy.
It's heavy. It's I can't believe we're at a time when they can dox the private addresses of the Supreme Court justices of the United States of America, and the press conference the following morning, or that evening, I should say, has Jenssaki saying not a condemnation, not a suggestion to, go home or peacefully protest in front of the Supreme Court, but simply brushing it off and saying that she believes in all kinds of peaceful protests anywhere, where we all know if someone showed up in front of her house, the SWAT would be there within minutes.
I'm surprised she didn't step into your role. I'm surprised because obviously she's leaving the White House press secretary position. I'm kind of surprised that she didn't let Nita Jankowicz stick to musical theater. And I'm not knocking her to that because we all sing and dance. And I mean, if my videos were leaked of me singing and dancing, I would probably never show my face again.
You're talking to a fellow former actor and theater guy a little bit in college myself. So no judgment there.
Man, science, Photoshop, acting. You are a jack of all trades. Another question.
Thanks. It's the ADHD.
Oh. Who doesn't have ADHD from our generation?
I don't know, but they need to knock it off because they're taking all the Adderall and I'm sick of the nationwide shortage.
I think we overuse that stuff, actually. One person asked, what batteries do you use to surveil birds or use birds for surveillance?
I mean, it really depends on whatever China's mining out of their African holdings that week. I'm really a fan of the new lithium ion that comes out of Kenya. But realistically, those don't hold as much as what the Uyghur Muslims are refining over in the southern provinces. So it's kind of a give and take. The Energizer Bunny is lovingly chugging everything towards our way with all of their donations to far leftist policy groups.
What is your stance on Epstein's apparent suicide in prison?
I was there. It was a really crazy scene. I've never seen someone scream through their entire suiciding. It was just wild to watch, and really nice to hold him close as I finally helped him suicide the rest of his life away.
Somebody asked, when do you think we're going to see universal vaccine passes? I think we kind of already have those, but I just want to relay the message.
I mean, it would depend on what you mean by a universal vaccine pass and what that constitutes and what is or isn't part of that vaccination. If you mean the natural, early stage of life vaccinations, I would say those are already pretty universal to access some public services. International travel, of course, already requires several things all the way ranging from mad cow down to your latest tetanus shot, depending on the nation. So as for a universal passport, I mean, I'll jab you anytime, any place. Just give me the stuff and, stick out your face. We'll make it happen.
The other day, I'm from California and I was walking down the street.
I'm sorry.
I saw some people vaccinating themselves on the street. Just really
wow.
Active.
Stunning and brave.
So brave. I'm actually very sad because very close to an elementary school. But I think it sends a good message to the kids that you should be proactive and get vaccinated as soon as possible, even if you can't get someone to do it for you. Just eliminate the middleman.
Oh, absolutely. That's why our administration is pushing so hard to make sure that needles are completely available to the community, as well as the new crack pipe released vaccines. Those are going out to communities near you.
Last thing I want to ask you, who do you think the next character from 1984 is that is going to make a real appearance in our life? We have a ministry of truth. We have somebody who regulates disinformation, misinformation. But what's the next? I guess it doesn't even have to be 1984. What's the next character from literature or a movie that's going to make a parallel in our life, and we're going to think, oh my gosh, this is happening.
That's a good question. I haven't gotten that one yet. The next big book character, movie character that's going to make an appearance in all of our lives and it's going to shock us. Kind of on first glance, I would probably assume the next individual to show up is kind of a Katniss Everdeen, some kind of a young rebel who comes from some kind of a tragic backstory that kind of wages war against American conservatives and actually seems to rally some type of weird mediocre support all the way from West Virginia. That wouldn't surprise me coming up on the midterms. Some, turncoat of sorts to, burst out and proclaim her liberal grandeur and glory really seems most likely.
Okay, that's the Hunger Games, right? I actually never read those.
The first book is okay. The second book is okay-ish, and the third book is absolute garbage.
So it's just downhill once you start.
Most dystopian teen novels are.
All right. Well, to all of our Twilight fans and everyone watching, thank you.
Oh God, no. Twilight, just burn every single one of those. Don't count. Like any book with vampires, just
451 those.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would not cease. I would not even hesitate to burn every Twilight book and give every ebook that has Twilight on it a virus. Just burn it all. Purge the world from that horror.
Tony, Ministry of Truth, thank you so much. I hope George Orwell is not turning over too much in his grave right now with what's going on, but he probably is. That's my gut feeling. Thank you for talking to me. I will have this up later today. I hope all is going well in Indiana.
We're always watching.